Welcome back, everybody, to the Satellite House Podcast, episode what, Evan?
7.
Episode 7, featuring the one and only Tomo.
My pledge brother.
Aki.
Hello.
Clark.
How are you doing, Tomo?
Where do I fucking start? It's exhausting, dude. Like there were days in this week where I literally just had no sleep, and then I just like look at my time. I'm like laying on my bed. I'm like, I have a bit of time for my 4:30 class. I wake up. It's fucking 10 p.m.
Oof. What?
I mean, I didn't miss anything like important, so it's like it wasn't a big deal. It was more something I could have caught up on later. I emailed the professor later, anyways. But like, I mean, yeah, there's days in the week like that, and it's just like it's crunch time. Mm-hmm. It's the first week of May. It's like everyone's in fucking like. Everyone's in just like this hyper tense like burnout mode. But like I don't know, we're almost done.
What is your major, Tomo?
Aerospace engineering. And I'm a 4th year. I'm expected to graduate this semester. I just have things I need to work out with like later. But like yeah, this shit's hard. Like I'll admit that. like I'll be honest, like yeah, like I have friends, and having friends in like the same major really help.
Right.
Just being able to connect and intertwine and just like share common interests between like what we enjoy. It's like it's really nice.
That's really cool. And I know you've spent a lot of time living with your friends consistently. Do you think that being able to live consistently with the same group of people is very helpful? Or do you think that do you think it would have been harder if you had to change roommates every year or something like that?
I mean, yes and no. But like, I don't know. It's weird because it all just kind of started in freshman year because we just kind of built this like unique, like dynamic bond because we all just share a major, and just from there, everything changed. But like, in the case that like, I guess that never really happened, it would have probably been different, but I still had like friends like my freshman year on the same floor that I still like regularly hang out with today.
So how did you decide that particular group of friends was going to be like the people that you lived with? Like, how did you make the decision? Like, there's a lot of kids in aerospace. So how did you decide that specific set of people was going to be your close friends?
We shared a lot of common interests, and that's essentially it. And we just kind of built a bond over it. I mean, like, a good example is, funnily enough, mechanical keyboards. Like, I'm not even kidding. There's like such a large like niche of keyboards.
You guys bonded over mechanical keyboards?
Yeah, like I'm not even kidding.
What would you say is your guys' favorite mechanical keyboard?
That's a really hard debate. Because to be quite fair, it's all preference based.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of people have different interests in how like a switch could feel, how a keycap could feel, what kind of material, like what kind of material literally anything, any part of the keyboard is made out of.
Right.
So it's like what I'm saying is it's a really hard answer because
it very much depends on the person.
Yeah.
Now, I have a huge bias against Razer as a brand.
Ooh, hot takes.
I especially like anybody who has like a Razer laptop. Like,
oh my god,
if you spend like $3,000 on a Razer laptop and you bring it to class, like, ooh. I'm sorry. When I see you, I automatically assume you're a virgin. Like,
okay, I can defend on that topic, not because I've had one, but like there is to some extent where I dislike Razer, but there is some places where I respect them as like a company. And like, to prove your point with laptops, like, to be fair, their laptops are quite phenomenal, but there's always this like one little thing that like they lack that like is like slightly, it's one of those like medium to like bad like backsides of like the laptop, and that's what kind of like pushes some people away from it or like pushes people towards it regardless. It's like the same reason people get a fucking Mac.
Yeah, I know people definitely get Razer for the aesthetic. I just happen to think that it's a bad aesthetic.
I honestly can care less about the aesthetic because okay, one place where they absolutely shine is with their gaming mice. Like, I will wholeheartedly admit that. Like, if there was one mouse that I would use for let's say like the rest of the year,
Yeah.
I would use a Viper Mini. It's just that good. Like, I will admit that.
How much is that thing?
I got it for $10.
No way.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I got it on sale like for Black Friday, and it was literally $10.
What's so good about it?
It's like the size, like weirdly enough, or like the way it's shaped, you can really get used to. The lightness, it's great. Even like literally out of the box, like the mouse is good. Like the skates are fine. And like, I mean, the sensor is mediocre, which is like the only like bad, like that's the only backside about it. But it's like, as long as you know how you like manage it and control it, you can like use it really well. Like I genuinely like the Viper Mini. I use a Superlight now, which is I gotta admit it's better. Like,
Razer
it's priced
Superlight.
better. No. It's the Logitech G Pro X Superlight.
Earlier you were calling me a pleb for having a Logitech G205,
502.
G502.
Yeah.
Why am I a pleb for having that?
I don't know. It's the most common gaming mouse ever.
It is. I
It is
searched
the
up.
most common gaming mouse
I searched
ever.
up gaming mouse on Amazon. It was the first one.
Of course. No, it's well, like I'm not gonna deny that mouse is good. Like, it's not for me because I like a lot lighter. Like, I like lighter gaming mice. Like, it just feels nicer in the hand. It's so like instantaneous. It's like you feel more in control. That's kind of the best way to put it. But like, you can get used to the G502, like the weight of it all, and it's all right. I can like it, but like the buttons and the customizability, it's great.
And you're also into keyboards as well.
Yeah.
What about keyboards? What kind of keyboards do you prefer?
I prefer a linear long pull stem switch.
I have no idea what that
I know
is.
exactly none of us, and I'm not going to bother explaining it. But
Give me like a EL5.
ELI5.
ELI5, yeah.
So it's a linear switch. Usually there's a spring and a little stem and like a little housing for like a switch. And you can press down in it and the spring, and then like the stem, what happens is it moves like the pins that are like located behind it. So it basically closes a circuit and registers an input. And basically you can extend the length of that pole to make a switch or like essentially a board sound completely different from what it initially could have. So what it is basically just the housing with a longer pole. And that's the kind of specific like switch I like. And then on top of that, like it's best to literally lubricate the switch so it
Lubricate, yes.
Yeah, no, like
It's important.
not in that context.
Shut up, Jason.
Like not in that
is
context,
terrible.
but like I mean, like you have to fucking lubricate gears and shit to make sure that there's no like general friction.
Yeah. My keyboard gets all dusty. Does yours get dusty?
Yeah, but like my favorite ones are pretty easy to take apart. If not, I could just get like a CO2 duster and just...
Okay, you know what? Tomo, I am going to build a new PC. With a new keyboard and everything.
What are you gonna?
I'm gonna get into
What are you
that.
gonna use it for?
When I
like,
can afford it.
you're not even like the kind of person who's
I don't
like
think.
a super
Yeah, you're not
gamer.
gonna need
So
like
what
you're
do
not
you
gonna need like a
for?
38. What are you gonna do? Fucking ansys?
I just want to have it, bro.
There's no.
Like I get it, but like there's no reason you're not gonna
There's
be running.
none.
You're
Like,
not
if
gonna
it's
be
like
running
a-
CFD analysis.
If you want to throw away that much money on a computer and then not do anything with it, just get a Mac.
Mac? I've never used a Mac.
Well, again, you're just doing it for the flex, so just get a Mac.
He's literally got a valid point. Like, I understand that you like gaming PCs. You literally switched from an Android to an iPhone. Like, you crossed sides.
I changed culture sides.
You've crossed
I'm
sides.
like a traitor.
in a way.
I betrayed my...
So you just like you're not like a super gamer, so there's no point in getting this like ridiculous gaming PC. You're not going to use it. You're never going to use the power. You're never going to use it for like. You're not going to use it for engineering. You're not going to use it for video rendering. You're not going to use it for like nothing.
I mean,
Zero.
he could make art on Blender.
Is he going to do it though?
You know what? I think Macs are
No.
great
That's
work-
why Jason needs like a beefy gaming PC. He's a graphics
What?
design major, right?
No, whoa,
The fuck?
no, man.
He's an HR major.
No, not the other one.
Jason
the other
Owen.
one.
Oh, yeah, but
He is. Yes, he is.
But that's good for him, but like not for him. He doesn't need it.
No. You could. What's your GPU?
480X. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do. It's
You
a
do?
Radeon card.
Oh my goodness. What year did it come out?
Because I know the 580X came out in like 2018. Is it a 2017 card?
2016. Very close.
Oh yeah, because they release it like every other year,
That's
right?
so crazy how you know this. No,
I like PCs. Like
That is so awesome.
That's literally one of the other things. Like we all bonded over. Like we all bonded over like PC building and shit.
Right,
Yeah.
you and your friends. Yes.
Like I have a 2080 Ti and a 3900 XT
Wow.
with like it's
What do
on
you
a
play with
it's on a
that?
shitty motherboard.
Can you run Crisis at max?
Funnily
settings?
enough, no. Like it's supposed to, but I'm too lazy to input like a command code from Crisis Wars to then put it in like run that command line in or like basically like get a game file from Crisis Wars and then put it into Crisis so that I can run Crisis on my PC. Like there's
What?
that's like the whole joke of can it run Crisis isn't because like a PC isn't strong enough. It's because of a fucking like it's because of a fucking game bug, basically.
A game bug.
Like it's literally just a fucking bug.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just but like yeah, like we all bonded over PCs.
Okay, so I gotta ask if you're like a super PC guy, Intel or AMD, what do you think is the better processor?
Wait, processor. Okay.
In terms of
Intel,
like
right?
in terms of absolute speed, Intel, but in terms of practicality, AMD.
practicality, what?
I mean, if you're running like a bunch, like if you're multitasking real fucking hard with like everything else running at once, you're probably better off running an AMD chip. But for like GPUs, it's like a no-brainer. It's fucking Nvidia.
Well, duh.
Yeah, for
Everybody
sure.
knows that.
Like it's fucking Nvidia. You can't go wrong with an Nvidia card. I have a fucking 2080 Ti. That shit still runs fine. It's a B stock 2080 Ti actually, and it runs fucking flawlessly.
Fuck, I wish I had one. Fuck having a car.
You don't need one.
No, dude, like Jake has a 3080, Kobe has a 3070. And I technically have the weakest of them because I have a 2080
Jake has a 3080.
Jake has a 3080.
That man is
And then
I
Tony has
say
a
this?
3060.
30. Oh yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I have a 2070 in my laptop.
That was what I was initially going for when I was buying a Jeep, like planning on building a PC. I was thinking of just getting like a 3700X and then like a 2070 or a 2070 Ti if I could have found one. But then like Jake told me about this like I think it was like a Halloween B stock sale that like EVGA was having, and I just aced the hole on a fucking 2080 Ti. I had to call up like other friends from my major. I'm like, dude, I need your input. Is a 2080 Ti for $800 good? And he's like, that's fucking amazing. But no, it's shit like that we bond over. And it's weird because it's like I've built this kind of community with people within like my major because of that.
How many people are in your major?
I honestly can't count. I don't know is the honest answer. Because
There's
like,
probably like a couple hundred.
at least like it's my guess, but it's like I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure.
So your major is aerospace engineering. And then earlier, Evan, you were telling me this crazy story, and you were actually talking about it together.
Was it about the ramjet?
The atomic bomb.
Oh,
And what's his name? Leo. You can
Leo
tell the story.
Szilard,
Yeah.
who discovered the idea of the nuclear chain reaction back in the 30s in Germany when he was studying at Berlin, and he was really, really close with Einstein, and he would walk home with Einstein every day, and they would talk about physics and the future and technology and stuff like that. And then when the regime changed in 1933, then Leo Szilard fled to Britain because he felt that it would be safer there. and he tried to tell the British about the atomic bomb or the potential for an atomic bomb, and they did not take him seriously. They were like, "That's rubbish," you know.
Of course, you'd say
That's a load of rubbish.
British accent.
And he was like, "What do you mean? Like, this is so important." And he couldn't. Eventually, he convinced the British that it should be a military secret.
But like they didn't still take him seriously.
No,
so
they
then
still
he fled to
didn't.
the Americas.
Yep, he came to America.
And then the United States was just like, oh shit, like we should actually like this actually could be something important.
And then they actually pursued the idea of building it.
And then the guy kept even warning that it's like,
he's like, okay, but don't use it.
Do not use this thing. How about I do anyways?
Well, see, the thing is that the president that he had connections with was Roosevelt. And then when Roosevelt died, he had influence with Roosevelt. But when Roosevelt died and Truman became president, he had no inroads with Truman. And so Truman was like, no, I'm going to use the bomb. And Leo Szilard was livid, absolutely livid. But there was nothing he could do anymore because he didn't have any contacts to really like reach Truman's desk and say like, no, don't do this. And so he had to live with this for the rest of his life, this idea that he created the very idea of what ended up causing one of the worst humanitarian disasters in history. And he spent the rest of his life advocating for denuclearization on the planet. Obviously to no avail because we still have nuclear weapons today.
Dude, it's bad. I'm scared.
You know what? I'm not concerned about nuclear weapons. That's not what I would be concerned about. I think today's modern
Climate change?
Today's modern weaponry that I would be concerned about is entirely cyber warfare based. That's what I would be concerned about in the modern age.
Warfare? Explain. Tomo, explain.
Hacking.
You guys.
It's just hacking
It's-
one another.
yeah, it's literally just
doxing,
hacking.
It's literally it.
Do you remember the Colonial Access pipeline that got shut down?
This is really off topic now, and I'm just thinking about it because cyber warfare. But have you watched Mr. Robot?
No, I have not.
No.
Oh my!
I saw one
God.
episode.
No, it's good because I mean, like, it ties back to that idea and the way the story is told and everything is like, the way everything is built up, the way everything is connected to one thing and one another, and like the bizarre and insane plot twists that just occur, and you're just like, what the fuck happened? It's a surreal show. Like I wholeheartedly suggest everyone to watch it.
I really enjoy television shows and like movies that go completely off the rails that like end up being totally insane.
Sorry to bother you.
Yeah, like Sorry to Bother You.
Have you seen that movie?
No.
Dude, you should watch it.
It's
You'll love
absolutely
it.
wild. It makes a lot of statements about, you know, sort of the future of our society and what the sort of like the unfettered like drive for profit, what that can end up leading to. And you know, sort of the unethical ways of making money in the world. You know, I don't necessarily always like movies that go off the rails in a political slant, but I do like things that go off the rails just in general, like Community.
I like
As a TV show in its later seasons.
You know what?
went
You know what?
crazy.
Okay, actually, no. Like one of my favorite sitcoms still to this day, and I will defend this, is fucking Seinfeld. It's so good. Seinfeld is so good.
It's a classic.
Yeah,
Like,
it's literally a story about nothing.
You know, I've never actually seen the show.
It's good. Like I'll admit it. It's a good It's a good show.
I think it's like for older generation because it came out in the 90s.
It came out in 1989 and I think ended in like 1996.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was before our time.
Yeah, it was that.
Way before
That
our time.
actually reminds me. I was genuinely thinking about this. like we were born in a generation where essentially like it was before everything was digitized, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this
we
was
were.
before everything was digitized, where we had literally analog tapes to watch movies on.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember like rewinding tapes from the library.
VHS.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it's shit like that that's like fascinating because it's like then eventually everything just got turned into DVDs and digitalization. Like
I think this is just my opinion that we grew up in the last decade before everything in the world went to shit.
we don't have to put it that way, but like
Kind of true.
no,
well,
you're
I
not
see your
wrong. But
point.
like
I see
it's
your
not
point.
really that like it's not as bad as people say it is. Like granted, it is hectic, but like. You got to learn to adapt to it. And we're in this era where people aren't really adapting to it yet. But, like, once people do, like, it'll eventually develop into a habitat or an environment that's, like, regulated and, like, normalized. I understand that, like, I understand your point of view, though. Because, like, fuck. Like, I like 80s shit. Like, I don't look like I like 80s stuff and, like, the aesthetic of it. But it's, like, I don't, like, obsess over it like some people do. Like... But like one of my like favorite artists, like The Midnight, like they're fucking great. Like their music, I wouldn't really consider it's like a bit of like music and art, but it's like there's like emotion of like memory in it.
But what I mean really isn't like pop culture or anything like that. I think pop culture is fine. I think what I really mean is sort of like the division in society and the I think the 90s were the last decade in which we were heading to being a more unified planet. And after that, we've headed to being more of a divided planet, where people hate each other a lot more than I think they did in the 90s. And that's just, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, obviously, realistically, I wouldn't know because I wasn't consciously alive. In the 90s.
You know what I remember? I remember using one of those older phones before smartphones.
I had one. Like it was considered a smartphone because you could do a lot of stuff on it. Granted, it had buttons to substitute for it, but eventually the technology of touchscreen became more normalized.
I had that phone where you like swipe it to the side and you flip it up and the keyboard comes up.
I remember.
Remember those phones? Yeah, and then like you had to remember your parents' phone numbers. Remember that? Because like no,
I still remember my grandma's phone number in Japan because we'd make international calls.
Oh, you have a grandmother in Japan?
I'm Japanese.
Wait,
I was born there.
You were? I didn't know you were born in
I
Japan.
told you before. I'm pretty.
Wait,
you
no,
definitely. I
did
know
not
I told
know
you
this.
before.
I
You
did
did
not know
not.
this.
I didn't tell you.
You gotta tell us.
I said this when we were like hanging out practicing for a fucking serenade with Marco.
I thought you grew up in the middle of California.
I did grow up in the middle of California, but what happens every summer was that I'd go back to Japan to visit my grandparents. And because of that, I would often travel to airports every year and I get excited because I'm on a plane. It's like such a little like cute opportunity and fun thing for me. And that's essentially why I grew up to be like, yeah, of course I want to build airplanes for a living. Like,
Oh wow!
like that's the whole reason I grew up with it. Because also my grandpa was like super fascinated with it.
That's really interesting. So you have this sort of familial connection
Yeah, exactly.
to the aviation industry. So would you say that you focus on aeronautics instead of astronautics, or what do you...
I would want to go into, honestly, astronautics because, frankly, it's easier. It's just like, you really gotta fucking put money into it. But, like, outside of that, like, I like the aeronautical aspect of it as well. Granted, like, I could just, like, study that furthermore later. The thing is, right, like, I like astronautics because I also really like space. It's such a fun little thing for me. 'Cause it's like, hell yeah, I want to go out of orbit. It's like, I've already been on a plane a bunch. It's like, how high can you go?
So you were born in Japan. When did you move here?
I mean, I
How
was
old were
okay.
you?
So, oh no, it's weird because it's like, so basically, my parents met like traveling pretty often, and like they would travel pretty often, and then eventually like they got together and eventually had my brother and then me. So like what happened was my mom would travel back to Japan every 3 months or so to like go see her grandma because flights were a little more relatively cheap. Because what happened was she was born in Japan. Later in her 20s, she moved to Wisconsin, hung out there, had a lot of friends, and she had a good time. Like, and then she did a lot of like, she basically did a lot of what her career was. And then like 20 years later, she had like my brother and then me. So then she just kind of settled in just being a mom. But like, what happened was she was there when she was pregnant with me because she wanted me to be born in Japan. Because because if I'm born in Japan, I would still be a Japanese citizen. But also because my dad's from the US, I would still be a US citizen. So
she wanted to give you the dual citizenship.
Exactly.
Nice. Let's go.
So that's literally the whole reason. So like after I was born, we moved back for a bit. And then I think like instead of every 3 months, because that's what she did with my brother, we went back once a year. So it's just like a lot more affordable. Mm-hmm. And like, because of that, I would often travel back to Japan every summer once I started school and all here.
What is something that I, as a Western person, don't know about Japan that I really should?
Well, first things first, you won't see a translation text under you when you're there, when you're speaking to someone.
Oh my God. Okay.
Like that's for real. Second, good luck with the transit system.
Yeah, it's
good
confusing.
luck with the transit system. And on top of that, everything runs on basically a regulated schedule. Mm. So it's not like always bustling 24/7. Like usually the thing is trains start at 5 a.m. in the morning and then or it's like 5 or 4 a.m. in the morning and until about 1 a.m. at night, basically. So they run just constantly that like at rate. And on top of that, like basically every store, every place is almost like that, excluding like convenience stores. Because convenience stores are meant to be convenient.
Mm-hmm. Are they 24/7?
Yeah.
All of them?
All of them.
Oh.
Well, except for like the like family-owned ones. But like usually like the industrial ones, like a Family Mart or like a 7-Eleven or a 7-I.
The convenience store food there in Japan is so good, like a 7-Eleven.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been to Osaka. Dude, their sandwiches. I mean, I've also seen all the YouTube videos, of course.
Of course.
You know what I'm talking about?
Their vending machines are fucking
God tier.
Goated.
God tier.
Absolute goated.
S tier.
like I'll even admit that. Like it's goated. It's so good.
That's really impressive. I've seen a lot of like travel shows about Japan, and like there's some things that Americans would consider profoundly weird, but that are just normal in Japanese life. Like I saw this thing where you like there's like a vending machine and you buy like a ticket and then you take the ticket to like a window and then they cook like a ramen for you.
Yeah.
And in America, we would never do this. You would just order at the window, right? So this idea of like purchasing a little ticket that tells them exactly what you want and then you give it to them, like that's profoundly bizarre in America. That's super strange from an American perspective. But in Japan, this is just normal.
It's honestly, okay, I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to ask you this. How is that weird?
Because we don't do anything like this in America. Like, why would you go to like a kiosk and print out like a little order slip and then give it to the person instead of just ordering from the person?
And the funniest thing is that's getting more and more normalized here. It's becoming more and more regulated. Literally, one of the other things was, so I went and watched Batman, right? This was like right after my work shift because I was like with my coworker and I was just like, I don't have anything going on tonight. Fuck it. You want to watch Batman? He's like, yeah, sure. I don't have anything. So I waited. It was a Sunday. So I waited until his closing shift because I literally got off like 30 minutes before him. Mm-hmm. So like what happened was I just waited for a bit until the store closed and then just like went and watched the movie with him. And literally what happened was there's this little digital kiosk at the movie theater in Valley Fair where you literally can just order stuff on this thing, and it'll print out a ticket for you, and you literally hand it to some dude at the like vending desk so you can pick up your order.
I prefer that.
That's literally becoming more and more normalized here.
But that's in Japan, right?
That was literally in Valley Fair.
Yeah, no, but that style is very popular in Japan, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very popular.
I like that a lot. Actually.
That's how they have their movie theaters too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer it. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that it's uncommon and strange from an American perspective.
That's true. That's also true.
I never said it was bad. It's not bad. It's fine. In fact, I agree. I do prefer it. But it's just from an American perspective, this is a little bit strange.
I guess it's more because of it's more or less because it's like when you want something, you end up like connecting with someone because of it. Mm-hmm. Like when you order, like let's say you go to a fucking restaurant and you have a waiter, and you know that specific waiter, they're your waiter for that meal for that day. Mm-hmm. So of course they're gonna ask nice questions and get to know them more, sort of in a way, like how their gesture is. So you're just like, oh, this person is nice. I'm happy with them. I.e., that's why you give people tips.
Right.
Like they did their job very well.
I think that's something that and
that's a human interaction thing, actually.
Yeah.
Like when you order something from a vending machine, you're not really talking to someone. You're like inputting you're inputting a code so you can get a solution.
Yeah.
You're inputting what you want, and then you get what you want, basically. That's the same reason with vending machines, right?
I don't know. I think it makes for a very convenient and consistent purchasing experience, but I think it also makes for a very lonely way of life. Because if everything's automated, then you never really form any connections with people. And I think that's just a little bit sad.
It's a little bit sad. No, I get that, but like I honestly don't know like how would it really put it, but it's like you eventually build a way to branch out. You eventually build a way to connect. Like
and how do they do that in Japan? Because I know Japan is a very I don't want to say like introverted culture, but like people in Japan are less likely to go and just say, "Hi, how are you doing?" Right? It's not normal to just walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, how are you doing?" So how do they do that in Japan, where everything is so automated and you have so few opportunities to talk to people?
That digitization isn't everywhere in Japan. You still connect with people in Japan. Mm-hmm. Like there are still jobs that like people need to go to. It's not like everything's automated in Japan. It's not like Japan's the future or anything. That's another thing that people shouldn't expect when they go there. Like it's not the future. It's like it's more modern than you think. Like
I feel like it's the future. I feel like when I went to Japan, I was like, this place feels like 15 years in the future.
How many times have you been to Japan?
Once. In 2012.
Exactly. My point proven.
What do you mean?
It's rose-tinted goggles. Like, when you go there enough times, you've seen it enough. Like, you know what it looks like from above. You know what it looks like from below. You see the people. You see the streets. You see...
And what is that?
It's just... I mean, everyone has a plan. Everyone's always going on their own way. Granted, you build a connection with people, and it's important. And at times, those people still make that connection with their people.
And which culture do you prefer then? Japanese culture, living in a Japanese society or an American society?
I'm more used to an American society. But like, well, it's because living in an American society gives me a reason to like stand for something. Whereas when I'm in Japan, everything's given to me, and it's just like, I need to figure out how to like push myself there. Like, I know enough Japanese to get by. I don't know enough Japanese to like excel in Japan. You know, like in like here, I can fucking. I mean, like, if I practiced enough Japanese, I would.
Nihongo desu ka?
もちろん.
What does that mean?
It's like, of course.
Mochino.
Mochiron.
Mochiro.
I have no idea what either one of you just said, so that's cool.
Dude, I want to learn Japanese, man. Sheesh. Japanese is such a cool language.
You notice how they're polite to one another, though, right?
Yeah.
It's always like, suimasen, chotto kore de yatte kuremasu ka? Or like, koko de ugakashite kuremasu ka? It's like shit like that, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, like, excuse me.
Yeah, you're right, though.
Sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the thing where everyone has their own, like, it's like everyone stands out on their own. Like, you know how, like, do you know how an anime has, like, a joke sometimes? Like, the main character has this, like, bizarre, like, fucking Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! 100%. Like, he has this bizarre hairstyle that stands out specifically.
Oh, yeah.
That's him. But, like, that's because everyone kind of treats each other like that, where everyone's distinct from one another. Like, oh, okay, I have to, like, or it's like, if I need to talk to this person about something, or if I need to ask this person to move or something, or like, you don't even need to say something sometimes and people already know. But like, it's like, regardless of like how people talk or how people connect, people are still like connected with one another. They're interacting regardless, you know? It's kind of the best way to put it. Everyone just still really kind of interacts with one another, but like, they all have their own set plans and goals, regardless of who they intertwine with.
So, what do you plan to do with your degree when you're done with university?
Honestly, I'd be happy doing anything.
I thought you wanted to teach.
No.
As a
Why
professor.
would I?
You wanted to be an aerospace professor. You told me that
No,
last time.
I didn't say I want to.
Right?
I said I could.
Oh, I see.
I said I could because I already have an experience in teaching. I coach tennis for kids. And like, it's I mean, it's like good to see someone like learn something when you understand it.
Why don't you work for Elon Musk, work at SpaceX, designing rockets?
That's the thing, right? Like, I frankly don't care where I end up at the moment. I just want to get anything first. And then once I find, like, basically what I'm doing is throwing darts at a wall and see what sticks. And eventually I'll land on something, and then I'll just build something from there. And that's just kind of how I'm approaching life after graduation. Because, like, I mean, I've not thought about this all, but it's more or less just like, all right, I need to get my foot in the door somewhere. Obviously, it's not like I'm getting my wet with companies trying to just slobber my because I'm trying to like get a job anywhere with a bachelor's degree. What I'm saying is, just out of the box with a degree, it's not like a 100% like job chance.
I thought it was like, as long as you graduate with if you're graduating with a master's,
No, I'm
which is
graduating
your
with
plan.
a bachelor's still.
Okay, bachelor's.
I'm in undergrad still, dude.
No, I still think, dude, aerospace engineers, there's more demand than supply. You'll get hired real quick.
Like, I know that. That's why. It's because it's like they'll eventually find me out of everyone else in the major too.
So why are you going for your master's then?
Because I have decided I want to like study more in the control aspect of the aerospace industry. And on top of that, it just adds more to my credibility, and then I could just still be building experience while I get it. And the main reason's free for me.
Dude, you can totally work at SpaceX. You could totally be like helping. It's totally possible. I know you don't like talking about this, but I'm just saying, Mars? Are you going to go to Mars one day? Would you do it?
No. That would be one of my friends. I would wholeheartedly give that award, like, hand the mantle of that to him. I wouldn't.
Tomo.
If I wanted to, I would eventually want to go to Mars someday. I would never want to be the first. I would always want that to be my friend. I would always want it, 100%. If anyone asks me if I would ever go to Mars, yes, but I would never be there first. I will never be the one to plant that flag. That is not my goal.
I'm pretty sure Elon's going to be the one who lands there first. Like,
Elon's for sure going to land there first.
I want to ask you a really nerdy engineering question. What would you say is your favorite propulsion method on an aircraft? What kind of engine do you think is the coolest?
SR-71.
No, well
That's a plane, not an
He's
11
talking
engine.
about a
Killstreak.
propulsive engine type.
Oh.
And there's a handful of different ones. I would.
What about
I
a
wanna say-
propeller? Wright brother? Just like gliding?
A propeller is a type of propulsion system. Yes, Jason. The Wright brothers are not a propulsion system.
They invented the airplane, though.
God, you have no idea what we're talking about.
I have no idea.
You have no
But
clue.
Evan, what is yours then?
I would have to say that definitely my favorite is the turbojet. And I think I would say the turbojet because it's so far been one of the engines that gets us to go the fastest, right? This is the kind of engine that was on the Concorde. And I think that that's such a cool plane that I really think a turbojet is my favorite kind of aircraft engine.
I'm trying to think. There's like, I wish I brought my iPad because I have all my notes and shit on this. But no,
The Concorde.
Yeah, the Concorde.
Is that the fastest plane ever?
it's the
No.
fastest commercial jet that was ever created.
How
And
fast was it?
it traveled up to Mach 2.3?
What is that? MPH?
No. Okay, Mach. Okay,
How does Mach
is
work?
a unitless measurement. That's the best way to put it because it's basically the ratio of the current velocity of the object over the speed of sound of that current elevation. So the Mach number is essentially relative to how high up you are. Let me
see.
literally look up the top speed of the Concorde.
So Mach 1 is not slower than Mach 2.
Mach 1 is the speed of sound.
Mach 1 is the speed of sound.
But
Oh.
the speed of sound is dependent on how high up you are. So that's why there's no definitive miles per hour number because it's dependent on how high up you are.
I was right. It was Mach 2.04.
Wow.
That was that. It is what was considered the first supersonic passenger jet or a supersonic commercial aircraft.
It's one of the only two to ever exist.
Yep.
The other one being the Tupolev 144, which was the Russian equivalent of the Concorde, and it was terrible.
It wasn't really well. That's the thing, right? Like, Russian engineering is to push for it towards the end and see what comes out and then improve upon it later. That's kind of how they approach innovation. Whereas, like, Americans basically just, all right, we start with this and then just a little bit there, and then just like tiny, like piece by piece build it together. And that's why, like, on the first go, it's so successful.
But the Concorde was not American.
No, it was
This
made by
was
France.
a European.
Oh,
it was
it
a
made by
British and French.
It was made by the British and the French, but it was all manufactured entirely in France, if I remember.
In Toulouse, probably.
Yeah, it was manufactured.
When did this thing come out?
This came out in
1969, if I remember.
I thought it was 76.
1969?
No, I'm pretty. Wait, let me.
It's an old plane.
It's an extremely old plane.
It was discontinued in
2003.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, 1969. And its introduction was in the 76.
Okay, see, it was first flown in 69.
Its first flight. Its first flight was in 1969.
And its introduction into service was in 76.
Exactly.
And then it was discontinued in 2003.
Exactly.
And there hasn't been another supersonic plane,
Nope.
passenger plane since. But there are companies that are working on that, like Boom Supersonic, based in Colorado. And they've actually secured orders from airlines, including like United Airlines, ANA, and Virgin Atlantic have all ordered supersonic planes from Boom, which is really cool. Their expected first flight is supposed to be in like 2025. So I imagine that's when the company will become publicly traded because they're going to need money to build that fucking plane. And that would be such an excellent investment opportunity.
I don't really pay attention to stocks, to be quite honest.
But this is an engineering thing.
I know
True.
it is. It's like I
I'm
could
investing.
invest in it, but it's like granted, I want to see like I mean, fuck, I could get into it. I could. I mean, like, I was actually gonna go back to that like topic about my favorite propulsive engine type, and I would say it's an ideal turbofan actually.
Yeah, I think turbofans are definitely.
I mean, that's literally what's used in commercial flight.
Yeah. It's the most common type of engine today.
Like it's a modification on what is the ideal turbojet,
Yeah.
where you just stick a fan in the front.
Yeah, and you have a very large bypass area.
Yep.
Super high bypass ratios are the future. The only issue with having a really, really high bypass ratio is that the tips of the little blades on the fan will go supersonic, and so then that's like a problem.
Yeah. I mean, then again, like, I think, like, a lot of theoretical designs of, like, turbofan engines that have been made, too. Like, what was it? The helicarrier from the Avengers? Specifically.
Is that possible? Scientifically possible?
No?
That's not very convincing.
Wish, but, like...
Maybe like in 20 years. No. Really? No, but VTOLs exist.
VTOLs do exist, but is it enough to carry a fucking, like...
Okay, maybe like a small ship.
Like a Navy ship?
Like a... You know,
No.
like aircraft
Like
carriers,
a
but
naval
like
defense ship?
aircraft carriers.
Yeah, but, like...
Like smaller ones.
Do you know how much, like... Okay, do you know how much, like, energy it takes to even get something off the ground that high?
Let alone to keep it there.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna need so much fucking fuel for that shit.
Nuclear fusion. Fusion? Which one
Fusion is the only one that would be sufficient for that.
Yeah,
the one that's
fission
still
is-
coming.
No, fission's used for what's it called? Like,
Nuclear power stations.
Fusion,
currently.
yeah. I was gonna say.
It's fusion.
yeah, nuclear
Nuclear
fusion.
fusion reactor inside of that, creating the energy to keep.
Do you
it
know
afloat.
do you know how strict and do you know how like contained and do you know how many years that will take to train people to that level
Also, Jason,
to manage it and then alone to control that?
the problem is that it's not even just about building a fusion reactor, which is something that we still haven't done. It's also about miniaturizing that fusion reactor and increasing the reliability to the point that you can actually put it inside of an aircraft like that.
I mean, that's the future, right?
Yes, but this is like this is 100 years in the future.
Fucking future, dude.
This is
not
This
happening
is
in our
never
lifetime.
gonna happen anytime soon.
like you're not going to live to see that.
You
But it will
literally
happen?
won't. Inevitably, yeah. but
Eventually,
at the
one day
moment,
it'll happen,
hell
but
no.
absolutely, you're not going to live to see it.
Abso-fucking-lutely not.
But it would be super fucking cool, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel that fusion energy is the solution to the carbon climate
Yes.
problem?
I'm not even going to let you finish that question. Yes. Because, like, we know how to control it and we know how to regulate it. So it's like, of course, it would be so much more like, not to a level where you can literally make a helicarrier. I'm saying controlled enough to where we know how to use it as a power source. Like, that's, I mean, for fuck's sakes, a nuclear reactor is just literally heating water and then that heat transfer is generated into energy. That's literally it.
Well, that's all that most power plants are, is
Exactly.
just heating up water and using it to turn a turbine. Like that's
exactly it. It's just generating work. That's literally how every source of energy and every source of power has ever come from.
which is actually sadly in a way kind of really inefficient because you lose a lot of energy
Going into it.
going into it. Yeah.
But then, like, that's, you lose so much of the energy that's coming into it now. But, like, the more it's, like, controlled and the more it's more optimized, it will exponentially generate more energy. But, like, it's exactly it. It'll exponentially generate more energy and just make it more optimal for everyone else. But, like, on top of that, that's why I'm so, like, supportive of solar and, like, wind energy.
I think solar and wind are great for filling like peak demand in like the energy mix. I feel like at present nuclear fission is really great for that base load, right? That bottom level, whatever the lowest point in the graph is, filling that much is perfect because it's a flat line output, right? It's not good for peaking. It's not good for, sort of that sort of thing. But I think in the energy mix today, we could certainly do replacing coal with nuclear.
Of course.
I'm pro-nuclear.
I would have to agree.
Pro-nuclear.
Nuclear energy.
I'm pro-nuclear energy,
Yeah.
anti-nuclear bomb.
Anti-nuclear weapons here at Satellite House.
Please.
I mean, we're at a satellite house for a reason. If it like,
We're out of here, man.
exactly.
the only thing that can hit us is a nuclear bomb.
I think in the future, have you guys seen that movie Elysium?
Yes, I have.
I haven't watched it. I want to just to see how like it's good but also bad.
It is good, but also bad.
No,
yeah.
that's exactly what I've heard. And like I like it because it's a really interesting cyberpunk story. For fuck's sake, I like sci-fi, but like
Cyberpunk.
It's a really cool concept and
but it's
idea.
terribly executed.
Yep.
That's exactly what I thought it is.
It's they did a horrible
Yeah.
job telling this story, but they had a great premise for that story.
God, what is one of those other like sci-fi movies that like did that?
Tron
That's
Legacy.
one of my favorite movies.
Actually, no, I agree. I actually agree with that. Like it wasn't terrible though. It wasn't great.
It had such a great premise of what they could have done.
But they didn't execute on it.
They did not
enough.
execute well.
The aesthetic of it,
It was
though.
visually beautiful.
You know what
Cool
movie was
concept.
actually cool, but it's low-key underrated?
What?
Oblivion.
With Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
It's underrated.
I have
love
not seen this.
It's bizarre, but like...
Yeah, it's bizarre. But it's shot very well. It's beautiful.
It's bizarre but interesting in a way. Like something happened, but we don't know enough. And it's like an interesting universe you can kind of just delve into.
I feel like there's a lot of like sort of sci-fi movies that I really just want to see more of the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to see this, but more. Like
There was one show specifically like that. And it was Altered Carbon.
I have not watched
Season 2 was
Altered
terrible, right?
Carbon.
I heard
it
season
was
2 was
terrible.
mediocre, but no one cared enough about it, so they canceled
Season
it.
1 was pretty cool.
No,
Like, you can
season
live
1 was
forever.
No, towards the end it was like, eh.
But the first few episodes were really good.
Yeah, like it delved a premise and defined the idea of like what really happens in the future.
Do you think we're going to live forever in the future? Kind of like upload your consciousness
The only way
into
you
a
can do
hard
that is
drive.
to eventually find a way to digitize a soul. That's the only real way someone
Is
can
that
really live
possible?
forever. No. Granted, we are all basically we're just a bunch of like our brain is essentially just a bunch of like neurons, electrical signals just running back and forth between one another. So in essence, like if you get trillions and trillions of computer cores, theoretically you can.
I think it's also the minute that you're able to make ourselves immortal, doing that, you also have the potential to create an artificial consciousness, because that's essentially what it would be.
No, exactly.
And so, this idea of like true AI would be, a way for us to become immortal. But I think this is a terrible idea from an ethical and like metaphysical, philosophical standpoint. Like, don't do that. Do not do that.
So you think everyone should die?
It's not that I think I don't.
It's only natural, is what you're saying.
I don't want people to die, but it's the natural order of things, and
it's only natural for it to occur.
Yeah. Now, if there's some kind of other method of like preserving our consciousness in our biological form, then maybe so be it. Like if there's like genetic engineering or some kind of bullshit like that makes us live like 500 or 1,000 years or whatever, okay. But the idea of uploading your consciousness and becoming an AI that truly lives forever, that sounds really, really dangerous and bad.
Or you just become a machine with sentience.
That
In other
also-
words, a Terminator.
That also sounds bad.
In other words,
Get to the
Skynet.
chopper. Skynet.
Wrong movie. Wrong movie.
I'll be back.
Oh,
There you
yeah,
go.
My fault. Damn.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Baby.
Pasta la vista.
Hollister Vista, baby.
Man, Hollister, you walk into a Hollister and you can smell the fuckboy.
You can
You can absolutely.
I can care less about Hollister. They're all right.
I wouldn't shop there. but-
shop
I
at-
shop at Uniqlo.
Uniqlo's good.
Uniqlo is good.
Remember when
Even
Uniqlo used to be cheap and now it's like ungodly expensive?
I miss that. This is a Uniqlo. This was the bomber jacket I think I got for like 6,000 yen in Japan.
How much is that?
That was good.
Like a little close to 70s, my
Dude,
guess.
you should get that in yellow. Yellow
No.
looks good on you.
No.
Wow, you like wearing all black?
No, this is just I like this
Why not
bomber jacket.
yellow?
I've had this shit for like 5 years, dude. This is good.
No. You should get another one that's yellow though.
No.
I think it would look
I'd
so
get
good
one
on
that's
you.
blue. I'd get a NASA bomber jacket that's blue, but like I wouldn't get a yellow
Yellow's your
bomber
color,
jacket.
though, Tomo.
No, it's not.
Really?
No.
No,
I could totally see you wearing yellow. I
you
totally
wore
agree
that
with
yellow
Jason
one
on
with
this.
Sunglasses Hut. Remember that night we went to Mini Boss?
Yeah.
You wore yellow.
Bro, I literally did not I did not go back to my dorm till like 4 a.m. that night, and like I literally was not in my dorm for like 13 hours straight. And I was just like, I want to go home by the end of it all.
That was a fun night.
It was fun though.
This has been a fun night.
Has it?
This has been a very fun night. I think this is our best podcast episode yet.
Are you serious?
It felt so natural.
You say that every week.
It keeps getting better and better. That's the reality
That's
of it.
okay. That's fair, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That is a very good thing.
Tomo, you want to talk about like human interaction and like socialization in college?
I pretty much said what I said. What's it called? I said what I was talking about with Japanese culture and just how even just how I got to know my friends. So I'm pretty much summed it up. It's just more or less just it's important to talk to one another because we as humans gain a sense of humanity because of it.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty much it.
How good is your Japanese, man?
He said earlier, it's enough to get by, but not enough to thrive.
It used to be. Now it's hot garbage.
Damn.
Tragic.
It is hot garbage. I'll understand what people are saying, but it's just just nope.
What would you say is your a Japanese dish that I definitely need to eat more of?
Tsukiyaki?
Takoyaki?
No, tsukiyaki.
What is
Sukiyaki.
that?
Is it sukiyaki? I don't remember.
Damn, dude, Evan, I know there's great place.
No, there's one where it's basically it's hot pot, but you basically have a dipping sauce that you have where you it's a raw egg and a little bit of some soy sauce or some something to it.
Shabu Shabu.
Shabu shabu is good too. But
Evan,
a
there's
good
this.
one?
Do you like Japanese curry?
no, there's one in Japantown actually.
I love all Japanese food. I'm such a slut for Asian food in general. I think honestly, I love noodles. Noodles are by far my favorite sort of.
Oh, that reminds me. Here's a fun fact. I actually do not like udon.
No,
I actually do not like udon.
How
That's
do you not
blasphemous.
like
I just
udon?
don't like the noodle. That's really
You don't
it.
like the thick noodle?
I don't like the thick and slippery noodle.
I love it. I love it.
I'm sorry. Thick.
Jesus. The thick and slippery noodles.
You're supposed to slurp
thick
it up,
noodles.
right?
Yeah,
The
but I
ramen?
like ramen though. I like the ramen noodle.
There's so many different
specifically.
types of ramen in Japan, right?
Yakisoba.
Yakisoba's good.
Yakisoba.
You're making me
Yakisoba's
hungry
great.
right now.
I really want to eat Japanese food now.
We got Japanese cheesecake.
We do.
That was the first time I've had it in a long time.
Shall we eat the rest?
We'll eat the rest after this episode is finished.
Okay.
We'll be right back with these sponsorships.
Satellite House, sponsored by Uncle Tetsu.
And we're back. We had to take a cheesecake break real quick.
Yeah. Satellite House, sponsored by Uncle Tetsu.
Please sponsor us. We'll gladly take it. Thank you
Please
very
give
much.
us free cheesecake.
Amazing cheesecake.
God, we're not Game
Brought to
Grumps.
you-
We're not going to be like, this video is sponsored by Wendy's. Please, I love you, Wendy's. It's not like that.
We are absolutely like that. You might not be like that, but you're not a host. You don't know.
Valid.
We're
Valid.
absolutely like that. Sponsor us, any company that I like. Like any company I want free ship from, please sponsor us.
It's not really how you'd say it, but... Which actually does go back to the topic of, funnily enough, yo-yos.
Are you sponsored by yo-yos?
No, but no, people have asked me, like companies have asked me if they can sponsor me for like contests and whatnot before, because okay, so I've been yo-yoing for about 10 years now. At the moment it's been on and off because obviously I'm an undergrad student and aerospace engineering is hard, but I went into competition at times and I was fairly good, and even like world champions would often ask me for tricks and like
Whoa.
like what like what they could like if they could use a trick I've made, or
Whoa.
like I would teach them something that I learned because I thought it was cool. So it's like I've had connections and I know how to make like tricks and whatnot. But like I have been offered sponsorships because of like just being good in contests. But like I've turned them down because it's like I've always wanted to aim for something higher, but then I realized that like it really doesn't matter. It's not like I want to do this as like a career. It's not like I'm going to take off somewhere and be like an icon or something.
How many years have you been yo-yoing for?
I've been yo-yoing for 5 years and I competed for 5. And at the moment, I haven't been in competition, obviously also because of COVID. But on top of that, it's just like I've kind of lost the drive to compete. Mm-hmm. Not in like a bad way, but more or less just like that time has passed, and every once in a while I would like to just go back into competition for like maybe like a couple of tournaments, and then just like go back away for like 2 or 3 years. Just do it an on and off thing, like as an on and off thing. Like it's more of a just like side hobby now. That's just kind of how I approach it.
That's pretty cool. What would you say is like the most unique yo-yo that you've ever owned?
I don't really have any that are unique. They're just all pretty common yo-yos.
How many yo-yos do you have?
Too many. I don't have all of them with me.
Dude, I can't even do a regular thing where you like put it down and it like goes back up.
First of all, that's the wrong way of doing it. You gotta like literally have your arm muscled out like this and then like toss out like this. And then you let the yo-yo roll forward this way. And then once it hits, usually for a regular yo-yo that like just goes down and comes back up, you basically can just turn your hand back this way and then just catch it once it comes back.
So you go
like
this. And then if you want to like a yo-yo that's like does the sleeper as it like just spins at the bottom, you just hold it down like this, let it sleep for a bit, and then when you want it to come back up, you just tug it back up.
So that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
It's
Can
genuinely simple.
Can I borrow one yo-yo and
No.
do that?
They're all way too expensive for you.
Shoot, really?
The last yo-yo I bought was about a year ago. It was an unparalleled flashback, which originally retailed for $150.
Dang, that's expensive.
But the price got reduced, I think, because they manufactured more in bulk. So it got reduced to $99. So then I was just like, yeah, I might as well just get it. And I just bought it because I wanted to like try something new after using I was using an SF Cadence, which wasn't that it's not as expensive in comparison. It was like $55, but like I just kind of got tired of the feeling of it.
What's the difference between a cheap yo-yo and an expensive yo-yo?
What is your ideal definition of cheap is the big question. Cheap yo-yo specifically.
I don't know, a yo-yo that I would buy as a normal human being. Like one that
Where would you get one specifically?
Like I don't know, like a toy store and it's like a cheap yo-yo and like.
So let's say there's a butterfly. Yeah, there's like a Duncan butterfly at Target. You get that. In comparison, that's like what, $5?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like a $5 like Duncan butterfly. In comparison to like the next level up, it'd be like $10 more.
But what's the difference? Like, why do some yo-yos cost a bunch of money and some yo-yos are really cheap?
The way it's designed, the way the materials are, the materials that are used, the shape of the yo-yo, honestly, it's more weight distribution as well. Actually, in some ways, the way the yo-yo is shaped can also make it like it feels comfortable in the hand when you're playing with it, and then like the way the yo-yo feels as you play with it can feel completely different because of the way the yo-yo is shaped, or because of the way the weight is essentially distributed.
What's like a really weird yo-yo? Like, do they have any that have like really strange, unique features that I would never have?
So there's, I think it's like a really old thing, but there was what used to be called hub stack design yo-yos, where okay, so the TLDR of how a modern, like an advanced yo-yo works is that when you throw the yo-yo down, it spins with a bearing that's like just enough of a gap to where like it allows it to spin for a really long time, but like you can't tug it up, because it basically, the whole point of it is to reduce friction and then just keep a constant linear motion. So when you have a constant linear motion and like no friction, you can't really just tug a yo-yo back up, because that's how you originally would bring it up, with friction. So you'd have to do a specific trick that allows the string to get caught on these silicon pads on the side, and then it like generates enough friction to bring it back up. So what would happen is because the yo-yos have bearings, what would happen is someone would design a yo-yo where it had, so there's like a little, like, here's the little like butterfly shape, right? And there's the bearing in the center, and then there's two bearings on the outside of it, and you can spin it in your hand basically because of it. Because those bearings spin at the same time as the what's it called? Like as like the main bearing in the yo-yo. So yeah, like that would be one of the most unique or weirdest design yo-yos out there.
That's cool. That's pretty neat.
Yo-yo master Tomoaki Clark son.
If Louis Vuitton made a yo-yo, would you buy it?
They already did.
Did you buy it?
Of course they did.
But I know someone who
They
did.
made a LV Bugatti, did they not?
Did they really?
That does not surprise me if they did.
No, Fragment made a yo-yo. There's like another, Louis Vuitton definitely did.
Supreme. That'd be crazy.
I think so, but it's not the yo-yo I'm thinking. But I know like Louis Vuitton definitely made, fuck, I need to go look at this dude's Instagram page, because I know there's definitely been one.
Evan,
Okay. Yep. It has been.
like and subscribe.
Okay. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow and share and like on our Instagram. Subscribe on our Spotify. I don't know what the thing is on TikTok. Do that.
It was Chanel.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm sorry, I just found that was it.
And
Chanel, that's another one. Yeah.
and watch out for our eventual Twitter. I'm lazy. I'm sorry.
Did you say Spotify, TikTok?
I did
YouTube?
say Spotify, TikTok, and
Instagram?
YouTube and Instagram. Yes, I did.
Okay. Tomo,
Yes, sir.
do you have any final remarks? Any shout outs? Anything you would like to say?
First things first, shout out to my dad. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Mr.
My
Clark?
mom.
Mrs. Clark.
Who else? I don't know. All my friends that got me here. Each and every one of them. I mean, those are the shout outs, but like, if I did have something else to say, I don't know.
Peace
Roses are
out.
Red, violets are blue. It don't always be like that, but sometimes it do. And you'll get through it.
Facts.
That's the best way to put it. Like, days are gonna be rough,
Yeah.
but
Very fascinating. Very good.
days are gonna be rough,
good
but
take.
shit's gonna be high, and just keep pushing through.
Thanks for listening, guys.
See you next week.
Peace.